It takes only 2 years to learn to speak, but a lifetime to master silence, Buddhist wisdom. Imagine this: you're in the middle of a heated conversation. Words are flying back and forth. Tension is rising. You've been trying desperately to make your point, to be heard, and to feel understood. But no matter how hard you try, it feels like you're talking to a wall. The more you speak, the further you drift from the connection you're craving. Then suddenly you stop. You remain silent, and in that silence, something unexpected happens. The tension starts to shift. The room, once charged with noise, begins to quiet down. You realize in this moment, your silence is more powerful than any word you could have spoken. Sometimes, silence is more powerful than 1,000 words. This ancient truth, shared across cultures and wisdom traditions, holds a deeper meaning than we often realize. In a world constantly filled with noise, social media, conversations, arguments, and distractions, silence might seem like a weakness or an absence. But what if I told you that true silence could be the very thing that brings clarity, insight, and wisdom? When we think about silence, it's not just the absence of noise. Silence can be a state of presence. It's a space in which we connect not only with the world around us, but also with our own inner wisdom. It's where true understanding is found. Beyond the surface-level words, the truth is, silence isn't empty at all. It's full of potential. In a world obsessed with speed and noise, silence offers us a chance to pause, breathe, and find the answers we've been seeking for so long. That's the essence of true silence, allowing us to hear the wisdom that can't be conveyed with words. The paradox of silence. Let's break down the paradox. We live in a world of constant noise, the hum of traffic, the constant ping of notifications, and the never-ending mental chatter keep us in a perpetual state of distraction. Our minds are trained to seek out new input, new stimuli, new experiences. But how often do we take a moment to sit quietly, to listen, to reflect? It's strange but true. The more we speak, the less we seem to hear. The more we fill our lives with noise, the more disconnected we feel from the truth that lies within us. The more we talk, the less we actually understand. So, what happens when we choose silence instead of constant chatter? When we allow ourselves to sit in stillness, with no agenda, no need to fill the space, that's when the magic happens. It's in that space between the noise that true insight emerges. Think about it like this. If a photographer focuses too much on the details, they might miss the entire picture. Silence works similarly. It allows us to step back, adjust our perspective, and align with the bigger picture. It helps us see things clearly as they are, beyond the noise of daily life. When we truly embrace silence, we create space for our minds to recalibrate. This space allows us to see the world with fresh eyes. It's not about rejecting the world, but about connecting with it in a deeper, more meaningful way. Silence clears the fog, making everything sharper and clearer. Silence is not about suppression. Now, let's address a common misconception. Many people believe that silence means suppressing your emotions, thoughts, or desires. That silence means forcing yourself to hold back, to stay quiet, to not speak up. But in reality, that's not silence at all. What you're really doing is suppressing. Suppression is a form of denial. It's a temporary fix that only builds pressure inside, leading to anxiety. It's like boiling water under a closed lid. It will eventually boil over, creating even more chaos than before. True silence, it's not about repression. It's about being present in the moment. It's about acknowledging everything within you, the thoughts, the feelings, the desires. and then choosing to let go of the need to act on them, when we no longer feel the need to speak, when we stop trying to explain ourselves or prove our worth. That's when we are free. In that space, silence becomes a natural extension of who we are. It's not forced. It's not about avoiding the tough emotions or feelings. Instead, it's about fully allowing ourselves to be present with whatever arises, without the compulsion to do anything about it. And here lies the great paradox of silence. It only emerges when we stop forcing it, when we surrender the need to control. We open ourselves to the richness of life just as it is, no longer fighting against the world around us, no longer fighting against what's happening inside us. We simply let it be. Silence to listen. One of the most transformative aspects of silence is its ability to help us listen more deeply. How often do we really listen to others without thinking about our response? How often do we truly hear someone without interrupting or preparing our counterargument? In our fast-paced world, we're often trained to respond quickly. We rush to offer advice, share our opinions, or jump in with our own stories. But real listening, it comes from silence. When we allow ourselves to sit in silence during a conversation, we open up space for the other person. We create room for them to fully express themselves, without fear of judgment, without interruption. And in that moment, we begin to understand them at a deeper level, not just their words, but their emotions, their experiences, their perspectives. Listening through silence isn't about passive hearing. It's an active process that requires attention, awareness. By truly listening, we show respect, we build empathy, we form meaningful connections. In this silence, we hear more than words, we hear the unspoken. Silence to reflect. Sometimes life throws us difficult situations, and we feel the need to react, whether it's a challenging conversation or an emotional upheaval. Our first instinct might be to speak, to defend, or to act quickly. But in these moments, silence can be our best ally. Silence gives us space to pause. It allows us to reflect on what's happening inside, without getting swept away by emotion. In these moments, we find clarity. Instead of rushing to react, we give ourselves time to process, to choose our actions wisely. Think of it like this. Silence is like a moment of stillness before a storm. It's the calm that allows us to see the situation clearly. Before the chaos begins, in this stillness, we find the strength to make decisions grounded in wisdom, not impulse. The power of silence lies in its ability to clear the mind, bringing us back to a place of clarity. It's a tool that allows us to regain perspective, to respond with intention, and to move forward with grace. True silence, an end to resistance. True silence is not just about stopping the noise. It's about letting go of resistance. We resist in many ways, through our fears, our desire to control, our reluctance to accept life as it is. This resistance creates internal conflict, and it's the source of much of our suffering. True silence happens when we stop resisting. It arises when we stop trying to change or fix everything. It occurs when we realize there is nothing to defend, nothing to prove, and no need to react. We simply let life unfold as it is. When we stop resisting, we stop fighting against ourselves. We stop fighting against the world. And in that stillness, we are finally free. This kind of silence is liberating. It's not about retreating from life. It's about fully engaging with it, without being entangled in it. True silence is freedom from the need to control or manipulate the world around us. Silence as a form of resistance. Silence, when fully embraced, can be a powerful form of resistance in itself, in a world that constantly urges us to speak out, to make our voices heard. Silence can be one of the most subversive actions we can take. When we choose silence in the face of injustice, cruelty, or ignorance, we are not passive, we are making a statement. By withholding our reactions, by refusing to engage in futile arguments, we allow others to reflect on their actions. In these moments, silence speaks louder than words. Silence becomes a mirror, forcing others to question their behavior, their words and their actions. It takes great strength and self-control to resist the urge to react immediately, and instead allow the situation to speak for itself. The liberation of silence, a gateway to wisdom. Silence is not only about being quiet, it's about creating a space for wisdom to emerge. When we embrace true silence, we open ourselves to something greater than ourselves. This silence is the foundation for clarity, understanding, and deep wisdom. Think of a still pond. The water is clear, calm, and unclouded. Just as the pond reflects the world around it perfectly, so does silence reflect the truth of who we are. When we are truly silent, we begin to see ourselves and the world around us with incredible clarity. Wisdom doesn't need to be taught. It arises naturally from within. When we create space for silence in our lives, we give wisdom the room it needs to flourish. We no longer have to search for answers. We simply become the answer. Silence in the modern world. In today's fast-paced, always connected world, silence is often considered a rare commodity, with our phones buzzing incessantly, notifications lighting up every corner of our digital existence, and the noise of everyday life. We have almost forgotten what it feels like to be in true silence. Silence has become almost foreign to us, something to be avoided at all costs, as we rush to fill every empty moment with noise, content, and interaction. However, what if silence could offer more than just an escape from the noise? In fact, silence is an incredibly powerful tool for awakening, one that can help us rediscover a connection to ourselves, and in doing so, deepen our connection to the world around us. Despite our modern reliance on constant connectivity, silence gives us the rare opportunity to stop, to breathe, and to realign with what truly matters. It offers a refuge from the chaos, a chance to reconnect with our inner wisdom. The practice of stepping away from the digital overload and finding moments of stillness can help us to navigate a noisy world with more intention and clarity. We often believe that silence equates to withdrawal, isolation, or disengagement from life. But this is a misconception. True silence is not about retreating. It's about engaging with life from a place of inner peace. It allows us to experience the world without being defined by the constant demands of our surroundings. In fact, when we embrace silence, we find ourselves learning how to be present without becoming overwhelmed. Peace doesn't come from avoiding life. It comes from finding inner peace amidst the noise. This doesn't mean we need to shut ourselves off from the world, but rather engage with it mindfully, without the weight of unnecessary distractions. As we incorporate more silence into our lives, we begin to gain control over how we experience the world, rather than being at the mercy of external stimuli. This is the real power of silence. It makes us more present, more attuned to life's rhythm, and more aware of our role in the ever-changing landscape around us. Silence, in this context, is not about avoidance but empowerment. In my personal experience, I've found that silence doesn't come from forcing stillness or escaping the noise. It emerges from simply observing what is happening within us. This practice of witnessing, of sitting with our thoughts, emotions, and reactions without judgment, allows us to experience life in a completely new way. Silence, in this sense, is not something we achieve. It's not a goal or an accomplishment. It is a state of being. We often spend much of our lives in a constant cycle of reacting, thinking, and striving. But when we pause, when we let go of that need to control, we discover the stillness that has always been there, waiting for us to notice. It's easy to get caught up in the belief that we must do something in order to find peace. But in reality, the opposite is true. Silence becomes effortless when we stop trying so hard. It's like breathing. We don't try to breathe. We simply do it. Similarly, silence doesn't require effort. It simply requires us to stop forcing, to stop filling the air with unnecessary noise. As we embrace silence, we realize it's something that's already within us, hidden beneath the layers of noise. The more we practice, the more natural it becomes. We begin to uncover the depth of peace and clarity that was always within reach. Stories of silent wisdom. Silence, when fully embraced, it holds the power to convey wisdom that goes far beyond words. It's not just about what we say. It's about the presence we bring, the energy we embody. In many wisdom traditions, particularly in Buddhism, silence is far from a void. It is a powerful force, a force for teaching, transformation, and deep reflection. Take the story of Bodhidharma, for example, one of the most revered Buddhist monks in history, and the founder of Chan Zen Buddhism. His journey is a testament to the profound wisdom found in silence. Bodhidharma famously spent 9 years in silent meditation, facing a wall, without speaking a word to anyone. His actions alone spoke volumes. His silence was his teaching. It wasn't about giving verbal lessons or offering intellectual explanations. It was about a simple yet profound realization. The truth is within us all. Through his silence, he communicated that the answers we seek aren't somewhere out there. They are within us, waiting to be discovered. What Bodhidharma embodied in that silence was not a retreat from the world, but a powerful invitation, an invitation to connect deeply with the present moment. True wisdom, you see, does not require words. Sometimes the most profound teachings come through stillness. Every breath he took, every moment spent in silent meditation, became a lesson in itself. Similarly, the Buddha was known for responding to life's greatest questions with silence. When asked about the deepest mysteries, like suffering or the nature of existence, sometimes he simply remained silent. This silence wasn't a sign of ignorance or avoidance. Instead, it was his way of teaching, an invitation to his followers to look within themselves and reflect on the answers they already held in their hearts. These moments of silence were not about escaping life, but engaging with it in its most profound form. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting the deepest aspects of existence. It forces us to confront truths we may not see otherwise. And it's in these moments, when the mind is quiet and the ego still, that we truly listen to the wisdom that arises from within. Both Bodhidharma and the Buddha remind us, silence is not the absence of teaching, it's the presence of something far greater. True wisdom cannot always be spoken or written down. It must be lived. It must be felt. Sometimes, the most profound truths are not in the words we speak, but in the stillness we embody. The gift of silence, a lesson in letting go. As we delve deeper into the power of silence, we begin to understand something profound. Silence isn't something we need to force or strive for. It arises naturally when we let go. We let go of our constant need to prove ourselves. We let go of the desire for validation. and the compulsion to control everything around us. In a world that demands constant output, silence offers us permission to step back and simply be. True silence isn't about avoiding life. It's about fully embracing it in the present moment, without the interference of unnecessary thoughts, judgments, or emotions. In the act of embracing silence, we release the need to always do. And in this release, clarity and wisdom arise, without force. This space of stillness creates room for us to gain perspective. It allows us to make choices that align with our deepest values. The practice of letting go through silence leads to something powerful, a clarity that cannot be found through mental noise or emotional reactivity. When we cease the constant chatter in our minds, we open up to the profound wisdom that emerges. This wisdom doesn't shout, it speaks softly, but its voice is clear and true. In that stillness, wisdom finds its voice. As we reflect on the role that silence plays in our lives, we come to a powerful realization. The power of silence doesn't lie in its absence of sound, but in its presence of wisdom. The next time you feel the urge to speak, pause. Ask yourself, why do I feel the need to say this? Is it to be understood? Is it to prove a point? Or is it to defend your ego in that moment of stillness? Something profound is waiting for you, a truth that doesn't need words, a truth that exists in the silence. It's not an absence of communication, but a deeper form of connection. Silence offers the space for wisdom to rise from within, revealing answers we've been seeking for a long time. When you truly embrace silence, you'll realize that it's not simply the absence of sound. It's the very foundation of wisdom. In silence, we hear the clearest answers, ones that words alone could never capture. In that stillness, you will find not only peace, but the wisdom that can guide you through life's most complex challenges. The answers you seek are not in the noise, they are in the silence.